IVM.
Hello and welcome to Audio Gyan, an Indian podcast for those interested in design, philosophy, and arts. Audio Gyan documents thoughts, ideas, and insights from known and unknown gems of India who have done some remarkable work in their field of interest. Visit audiogyan.com for more Gyan sessions. So today I have Manav Kaul with us. Manav is an actor and director born in Kashmir. He started a theatre group called Aranya in 2004 and has done number of plays. To name a few, Ilhaam, Park, Shakkar ke Paanch Daane and many more. Most people must have noticed him in his first film Kai Koche or Gangaajal, and we'll soon see him in Tumhari Sulu. But yeah, today we are here to talk more about one of his other passions, which is poetry, I believe. So thanks, Manav, for giving us your time and welcome to Audio Gyan.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
So yeah, I mean, the first thing which I wanted to ask is how do you define what's a good poetry and what's a bad poetry?
The mostly we see these days is all Facebook poetry, which is quite not what I feel that what poetry is, but most of the thing that people started, whatever they are going through, they are writing and they are like letting everyone know that see what this is what I'm going through. It's like you hide behind words. I always feel that poetry is a little lie, but when you do it for some time, some years, you understand that actually this is something which defines yourself, and then you eventually uh, come to the point where you start actually churning out some very interesting poems. But before that, what happens in poetry is because people don't write short stories. Because in short stories, what happens is, or a novel, you have to commit to everything after a point. You can't hide more than like 3 pages. You have to commit to what you actually wanted to say. But in poems, what happens is because you can create an absurd poem or just playing with words
Or
and
with a-
hide behind those words, hide behind these things. So what I feel, because what I really enjoy poems like the Vinod Kumar Shukla poem or Sarveshwar Dayal Saxena, there are like empty number of poets, you name it, but they always had they eventually become what poetry is. Before that, everyone is like, I feel myself also, when I started writing poetry, and everyone started out as very young. I started at 19. I was doing theatre in Bhopal, and I thought that no, there is so much I have to write, and I was writing trash, really bad things. But the good point which I feel is, till 2 years or 3 years, I didn't stop. I was just continuously writing. And
After you started.
after I started,
Yeah.
and I thought that no, this is something very interesting. But what happened that I actually completely throw everything out or like in a trash box, because that was so bad. But then what happened was I got something, and I said, oh yeah, the simplicity is the best thing in poetry. And then I started writing, really, which I feel is one of my interesting work. And then it becomes, because as some writer has said, that after a point poetry actually leaves you, and that happened with me.
What does it mean? Leaves you?
Leaves me, because what happened, as a youngster, you have so many questions, so many things, and you're reading. I was at that time reading like Kafka. I was behind Kafka. I was behind Gorky. I was behind Dostoevsky. I was behind, because I thought they know the answers, or some answers. Even the questions were not in my head very clear, but I thought they knew something, and I was just continuously reading. Then what I really like is Camus. Eventually, what I really like is Coetzee very much. Saul Bellow is very interesting. So you started understanding like these are the cold writing which you like. But what happened with poetry also, when I started writing poetry, after a point, I wanted to say much more and much simpler. So I thought, no, I need more space, and I need more. And I wrote Shakkar ke Paanch Daane. And after Shakkar ke Paanch Daane, I think 2-3 years more I was writing poems, and then suddenly one day it stopped. And I am kind of a writer. I don't write as like everyday writing. I write when I feel that, or when it comes, they say. So I didn't write a poem after that. Then after 10 years, I had a very bad breakup. I wrote one poem, and then that's it.
Okay. Yeah, but like still, yeah. I mean, like I had heard one talk in which they say that good poetry stands test of time, and bad poetry is recognized in a second.
Yeah,
So is there any parameter as to gauge a poetry?
I think, see, poetry is like a painting.
Hmm.
Sometimes you have no idea why you like this painting
Hmm.
because it reflects you somehow.
Hmm.
And poetry also, you can't explain anything. Sometimes, like a very like ordinary poem just hits you at a moment, and suddenly, sometimes a great poem you don't just get it. You know, but I feel that it's on its own. Like everyone has this own taste and own this thing, but there are some poems which unanimously people love.
Correct.
So maybe they are the great, like मजाज शहर की रात और मैं नाशा दो नाकारा फिरूं. It's one of the poem I used to live in Mira Road, and I had a bike and helmet. So what happened? This is the poem I used to love, because what happened that in helmet, your own voice,
Yeah,
एक
it
surround
echoes.
sound आते हैं, echoes होती है. And that time I was like, बाइक आपको मीरा रोड से अंधेरी रोज रिहर्सल पे आना है, आपको चलानी पड़ती है. So I was riding the bike, and I used to say this poem like at least 100 times, because it just echoes so beautifully. शहर की रात और मैं नाशाद और नकारा फिरूं, जगमगाती जागती सड़कों पे आवारा फिरूं, गैर की बस्ती है कब तलक दर बदर मारा फिरूं.
Wow.
So like, just so nice.
Yeah.
And every time it has a different meaning. And I think that is the greatness of poem, a great poetry, because whenever you read, like when you're like 25 you read, then 35 you read, then 40 you read, and it has a different meaning. So that's a great literature also.
Yeah, literature
So I feel that, like, whenever I read Nirmal Verma, Camus, Kafka, any one of these great writers, I read it again and again, and every time they give different meanings, and that's the greatness of every writing, or you say cinema, painting.
Painting,
You
yeah.
go back to again same painting again and again. It just throws like different meaning to you. That's very good.
Yeah, interesting. So yeah, I mean, I had written one point, and also one of the interviews where I heard about Pula Deshpande, where he said, I will like, मतलब मैं उसका हिंदी में थोड़ा अनुवाद करूँगा
Please,
कि
please.
जब गद्य की ताकत खत्म होती है तब पद्य शुरू होता है. This was one of his quote where the anecdote was, when you have to feed a child, you can't do it in prose. You can't say, okay, ये चम्मच लो खा लो. वो गाना ही गाता है कि खा ले बेटा, whatever
yeah,
like जैसे.
yeah.
तो ऐसा क्या है पोएट्री में which is so not possible in prose?
मेरे ख्याल से वन वेरी ब्यूटीफुल थिंग जो मुझे लगता है पोइट्री की है, कि वो छोटे में एक, कहते हैं ना, गागर में सागर वाली बात है, कि आपको छोटे में एक बहुत सारी चीज दे देती है. एंड ऑल्सो पोइट्री ऑलवेज, आई फील दैट इट हैज अ पोटेंशियल टू, you can interpret that poem any number of time and in any number of ways,
Any dimension.
any dimension. So वो dimension के बाहर चली जाती है बात. And with age, with different mindset or point of view of life, it just gives you a different meaning. Sometimes you feel that this poem is one of the most aggressive poem, and sometimes feel this is the most beautiful tender poem this is. So I feel that has the power of poetry, which in prose also there is. I feel that there is no much difference. If good writing is good writing, in novel also good writing everywhere. I don't feel particularly in poem, but I feel any good art absolutely does that to everyone. For me, absolutely, my best friends are books. And the books. So when I say that, in Borges also said this, that when you read a book, you are too anxious and too this thing, no? First time when you, but when you second time you read a book, then you actually read a book. And I always feel that this is absolutely, I never ever read a book and then I read it for the first time. I always have to go back, and then I say, oh, this is what the writer wants to say in these things. Of course, all the good books. So, so the second time is the read. I don't know what you say. I think for me, that entire book is a poem. So poetry is anything, you know. Poetry is not just a poem or something like that. Like my entire writing, my entire theater writing, I am not ever. I never actually started writing plays because of theater. I always thought that the play is part of literature, and my influences are all literature, all poems, all films, not theater at all. So in my place there is always something new, something fresh, just because of that, because it doesn't I have theater experience, but influences are all films, all poems, all literature, nothing else.
Interesting, interesting. So yeah, I mean, the next thing which I wanted to ask you was, like traditionally, as per my knowledge and given limited reading about poems and stuff like that, every poet I've seen has been in pain to a certain extent. So is pain necessary for writing poetry?
I used to feel that a lot. I used to till say 7 years, 8 years back. I used to feel that what actually how you live is not important. Your work defines you. So what your work is everything you are. But how you live, it doesn't matter. So
Okay.
I used to go by this whole thing. So so if people who are like coming in, because I used to live in a very very small places, because I had no money till like 3 4 years back. I was living hand to mouth all the time. So but people used to see my play at Prithvi. They have no idea where I'm going to go and sleep. But and they should know also.
Yeah,
Also, my personal life is if I'm sleeping in like in payment road station, doesn't matter, as long as I'm doing great work, which I always, I'm very idealistic. I was. So that is because of the influence of certain writers I was reading all the time. But then I started reading a lot of biographies and a lot of travelogues and a lot of non-fiction basically. And I realized that I don't know, somehow, if it's some book, or always there is books, some book, I realized that no, actually, how you live is very important, and everything else is a byproduct.
Wow, that's complete opposite.
Complete opposite. So I thought, no, 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 no. What I was thinking? No, no, no. How you live is the most important thing, and everything else has to be byproduct of that. How you live, you have to make sure that you live, eat, breathe the best, which you feel is the best, and that changed everything. That actually changed everything, and then I started, and then also I realized that I used to pick up pain. I used to actually pick up and hold on to that, pain of any relationship, my past, my this, how I'm living, that people are, all those, but then I realized that this is also bullshit, because when I was started changing the way I used to live, I started being happy in my personal life on my own. I didn't. I was. At one point of time, you always search for someone to hold on to, someone, because there is so much void, so much. Because I am a writer, I travel a lot, and most of the time I'm out. Most of the time I'm reading a book and I don't want to talk to anyone, or most of the time I just want to be with myself. That doesn't give a chance to come like anyone else to come in.
Correct.
So it's my doing, and then I crib also at that time. Like, what is this? I'm just so alone sometimes, and you feel very lonely. It's a thick loneliness. But having said that, when you change your life and you start being happy and started traveling and started doing stuff which you really want to do, and then you see your work, it becomes much more simpler, and the complexities which you always
Wanted to
achieve have, I think the simple work is much more difficult than any complex work. And I thought, oh god, I was missing so many things. But when I did my first place, one of the most simple play I wrote, Shakkar ke Paanch Daane, it's one of the most simple text. And then I went to complex, and then I came back to simplicity. Then I went again to complex. Then then because of Metamorphosis Kafka, I started loving absurdity, and I said I need to go and venture this, and I wrote some absurd plays. Some are very simple and funny, some are very complex. Nobody understood even I always thought that, oh, why I'm doing this play? Not a single soul going to understand what I'm saying, and that happened. But I didn't. It didn't matter to me because it was giving me so much happiness. So then I changed my life, and everything happened. So I don't think that's true. So I give it a long answer, but that's what it's not true. That pain is not important at all.
Not important.
Not important at all. What is important is how you live. If your living is correct, if you're breathing, touching, see, they say that dietitians and everything. They say that what you eat is what you are eventually.
Yeah.
And I feel what you touch, see, hear, and the
Feel.
art is going to come out whatever you feed. So you have to just take care of what you touch, what you see, what you read, what you feel, and what you eat, and everything going to come out nicely. But if the art is not coming out, that means you are feeding wrong things. So that's what happened everywhere. So I feel that is so important, that what you see, what you hear, you have to be very good at it.
That's very deep and philosophical as
But I really like it. It's very simple. It's very simple. What you are going to do, that's what's going to come out. That's going to dictate what your point of view of life is, and that is how makes you a different artist. Just to have a very interesting point of view towards life.
Yeah. So Manav, I mean, like actually the next question was like answered just now only because it's if I don't know whether if you want to add something to more to it. If a poet enjoys expressing his or her pain through poetry, um, does one induce pain on an ongoing basis, which you tried as you mentioned?
Yeah. But you know, when you were young, you are most confused, and you have so much energy, and you think that you're going to die like in a year or two, so you want answer right now. So I traveled so much extensively because there was so many questions I had. I said, no, I need answer, I need books, I need this, I need that, and everything. Anyone who can provide me little bit of that, I used to run for that. But very late in your life, not very late, but yeah, sometime later when you realize, and those journeys are very important to
Yeah.
anyone, very, very important. But when you stand still, everything comes to you, and that is the most happiest state you can be in. Just stand still, and everything comes. So, I don't at all waste a little bit of my time in thinking about pain, wasting pain, because this moment I'm right now talking to you is not going to come back to me ever.
Yeah.
So if I don't enjoy talking to you right now, I'm wasting my entire life. So I'm loving right now. Whatever you're asking and whatever you're answering is one of the most beautiful thing I'm living right now. I don't want to waste this time by thinking about, what happened. No, nothing happened. I'm living one of the finest life. I'm in fact jealous of myself.
Yeah, I remember one book which I read, Remember Be Here Now. I think it was by Baba Ramdas. It always used to stress on being at this moment and enjoying that.
But you see, these are all great sayings and great books and great. It doesn't affect you till the time you don't get it.
Yeah.
Get it, like experience it rather than. I heard things. I heard about this and that, but it never ever affected me. Till then, I understand by myself that this is the way one should live, and this is actually the very simple things gives me much more happiness than anything else. Very small and simple things. So just go for it.
Yeah.
And don't. And it's very simple. It's like you are directing a play, which you are playing a lead. So direct a nice play which entertains you. That's it.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, what is the process of writing a poetry? I mean, how do you take these abstract concepts and try to articulate them in few words or words as such to communicate what you wanted to tell the user, tell the audience, or tell the reader? What like is there any process which you can tell?
So first of all, I had stopped writing poems, but I write on Instagram very much. So my Instagram book is publishing in next year, based on my Instagram writing. Now there is two part which I may sound a little arrogant, but I'm not. That there is no audience. There is no one is reading. First of all, you have to get rid of that idea that there is someone is reading. Because,
But then what's the motivation to write?
yeah, the people ask me this. Then I do play, I have no interest in audience. I do play. I do and I do. I like it when it's houseful. But actually, if you ask me, I have no interest in audience. And I have no interest in saying anything. What gives me pleasure is share experience of creating something which has no idea. Like the way I write a line, and then third line and 15th line. I have no idea what is the next line going to be.
Okay.
I had no idea that, oh, this is what I want to say. I never had an idea. I only write and everything else because I believe and I trust so much in the subconscious that everything is inside me. Whatever I want to say or not say or whatever live because I'm just eating non-stop. And there is something which I'm continuously thinking about. Like I had problem with religion because I'm an atheist. I had huge problem with religion, the people, the philosophy of religion, the people how do that. So I wrote Ilham. But if you ask me while writing Ilham, I never thought that I'm writing a play about enlightenment and the false word called enlightenment. I never thought that. But it came like that. When I wrote Park, I had a huge problem with people kill each other just for space. Because this space is no one. You're gonna die and that's it. So how can one fight? How can one country and two countries are fighting because of the space which belongs to no one actually? I had no idea. I felt like this is the most juvenile thing people do, that fight for space. Because it's not yours. No one's. And I wrote a play called Park. It's a very funny play, it's one of the most, but it came from a huge disturbance of people are fighting and killing each other for space. Okay. So the thing is, but when I was writing it, I had no idea I was writing this. So my point is, I mean, it will sound very weird, but I never had any idea. But I know where my disturbance or what I like lies. It's in my subconscious. Similarly, when I do a play, so first rehearsal, the process, and I see what I thought in my house and how I surprised myself. Eventually, this become a piece, which I never saw a play sit from the audience. My own play. I always watched my play. I hear my play backstage. I don't watch my play. But the moment play happens, I had no idea what it does to the audience because it's such a personal journey of me searching what is this which I wrote and second line and third line and then play and then direct and then eventually this is the piece. I loved that experience and I actually want to shut each and every play after the first show. I don't want to do second show. I don't want to play to continue actually. But that's what actors want, my production, my team want, and they do it. But not even bread and butter. It doesn't give bread and butter. And for 10 years doesn't never give bread and butter. But it's just because we have done so much hard work and we are doing play and everyone wants to explore. And of course, after 10 show, 15 show, play becomes some more alive, more energetic, more. I experience that. But if you ask me, I get bored when my play is happening because I have to sit outside and wait for the. But I like people are writing and when people come backstage and ask me about questions about play, I have no idea what they're asking because it's out of my system. I don't even feel that I have written Shakkar ke Paanch Daane Peele Scooter Wala Aadmi or Ilhaam. I don't feel that because I'm writing something else now which I'm living. But past is dead. I have no idea what I've written. So the audience, when audience come, I had no interest in the audience also. Like, of course, it's your own experience because you watch something else, which I haven't wrote because you come with your own experience, own point of view. You see, you pick, you like, you dislike. It's your own this thing. But it's great that people like it and enjoy it, and I feel that okay, I still connect, and I still have. We all have like common things to talk about, to talk and to say. But basically, that's what I'm saying that when you talk about poems and how to communicate, there is no need to communicate because it's not. It doesn't matter what is outside or who is listening. What matters is are you surprising yourself or are you saying things which you have never thought that. Oh, this is interesting. I never thought that. I wanted to read something like that, so I wrote it. Something like that. I find it very interesting.
Yeah. I mean, it's really thought-provoking, but I don't have a follow-up question on that. Yeah. Yeah, I would like to conclude with one last question, which was what's your perspective on poetry in the next couple of years, couple of decades, maybe 100 years down the line? I don't know, like as much as deep as you can think, but because I'll tell you, like in lot of interviews, wherever I did, I spoke to some really intelligent people, and a lot of them said that today's uh, like today's generation, the poetry is missing. When we like regain our poetry, I mean, and like those are from advertising background, so the question was mainly towards understanding like हर रंग कुछ कहता है या हमारा बजाज, that level of copywriting is not happening right now.
हाँ.
So what is the reason? And the answer was like from their perspective was pretty evident that the poetry of this generation is missing. So do you feel like that? And what is the future like? How is poetry
Like
can
like Tagore wrote a poem.
uh,
100 years from now, who are you who's reading my poem? So here, and his poems are like that. That absolutely 100 years from now, someone gonna read, and that's what Tagore wrote. He knew that 100 years from now, someone's going to read my poem, and I'm talking to that person. It's so stunning. But my point is, I have no idea why this people say, and in the nostalgia, I don't like it. That you know that in past 10 years, in front of us, the world has changed like upside down.
yeah,
Okay,
that's true.
you have a mobile, you have the world in your hand. Everything has changed. How can you expect anything which 10 years back was existing, including poem, including your lifestyle, including everything, is going to be like this? It's going to be something else.
Yeah.
Because the best part of life is it always changes its shape.
Correct.
And that's how you exist. Like Sanskrit never, मतलब संस्कृत बदली नहीं, तो मर गई संस्कृत ना. आप you love to save it. You love to कि संस्कृत को बचाओ, संस्कृत, but नहीं बचेगी. Because Sanskrit is a rigid language. It has its own this thing and doesn't follow any other pattern. But whereas Hindi has changed. Hindi adapted everything. So Hindi is still चल रही है.
Wow, that's
नहीं, लेकिन हिंदी जिंदा है क्योंकि वो बदलती गई. अभी आप हिंदी के 3 वाक्य ले लो, आपको फारसी दिखेगी, उसमें उर्दू दिखेगी, अरबिक दिखेगी, आपको सब दिखेगा उसमें. It's not a Hindi sentence. So what we call Hindi is not Hindi anymore. But it survived. मैं हिंदी में लिखता हूँ, हिंदी में करता हूँ, सब कुछ करते हैं, हम लोग बात करते हैं, बहुत अच्छी है लैंग्वेज, एंड स्टिल सर्वाइव कर रही है, वरना अंग्रेजी टेक ओवर कर चुकी होती. बट माई पॉइंट इज एनीथिंग विच वी टॉक अबाउट, हमारा बजाज से लेके ग्रेट पोएम बाय नागार्जुन और दिस एंड दैट, लाइफ हैज चेंज एंड समथिंग एल्स विल कम एंड लेट दीज थिंग्स डाई सो दैट द न्यू थिंग विल कोई पैदा होगा नई चीज. और हमको नई जनरेशन को नॉस्टैल्जिया नहीं देना है, हमको उनको सिर्फ स्पेस देनी है. यू गो एंड हैव फन, एंड पोएट्री का पी भी चेंज कर दो. ऑफ कोर्स दे शुड, द वर्ल्ड हैज चेंज्ड. आई एम लिविंग इन अ डिफरेंट वर्ल्ड. मतलब मैं 98 में जिस वर्ल्ड में था, जब मैं थिएटर करता था, माई एस्पिरेशन, माई ड्रीम, माई एवरीथिंग वाज एब्सोल्युटली डिफरेंट. इफ आई से दैट नो बट आई थॉट एंड आई वांट टू स्टिल लिव दैट ड्रीम, आई एम अ फूल. बिकॉज द वर्ल्ड चेंज्ड, एवरीथिंग चेंज्ड, अपसाइड डाउन हो गया. यू शुड लेट गो, एंड नई चीज आ रही है उसको अप्रिशिएट करो. मे बी दे विल कम अप विद सम अमेजिंग वर्क एंड यू वोंट हैव द आई टू नोटिस दैट. तो छोड़ दो, अपना काम सब सही है, जो कर रहा है बहुत अच्छा कर रहा है, एंड जिसको सर्वाइव करना है उसको करेगा, और जिसको मरना है उसको बिल्कुल मरना चाहिए. लाइक पीपल से थिएटर इज डाइंग, आई थिंक थिएटर को भी मर जाना चाहिए, बट एटलीस्ट समथिंग एल्स विल कम. आई एम नॉट हियर टू बचाओ थिएटर, पोएम, लिटरेचर, हिंदी, नथिंग. आई हैव नो इंटरेस्ट इन दैट. आई लव इट, आई डू इट. आई हैव नो इंटरेस्ट कि कोई आता है देखने, नहीं आता है देखने, ब्ला ब्ला ब्ला. आई विल डू समथिंग एल्स. I've written short stories. I'll write something else, because that's how flexible I am.
Wow. Beautiful. I think, yeah, this is a good note to end on. You have been like really inspirational and a lot of food for thought here. So thanks for giving us your time once again.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
My pleasure.
Yeah. So that's it from today's Gyan session with Manav Kaul. Stay tuned for more Gyan on Audio Gyan next week. Till then, bye.
Hello! It's been a great week on the IVM Podcast Network. On This Round is on me, Gauri is joined by Shweta Nanda. They talk about the financial independence and how it is to be a woman entrepreneur. On Anish Thing, Anish welcomes ultra-marathon runner Shivani Gharat. Shivani shares her journey of how she ran her first marathon, the mindset of a runner, and what it actually takes to run a full marathon. On Cock and Bull, Cyrus, Naveen, Akash and Shreyas talk about the Korean band BTS serving in the military and its repercussions. On Think Fast, Varun and Suchita discuss Wing Greens and their latest acquisitions and about the Indian sexual wellness market. And on Shunyavan, Sheila Datya is joined by Dinika Bhatia, CEO and founder of Nuttigrities. They talk about coming from a business family and Dinika's journey in creating healthy and guilt-free snacking. Once again, don't forget to visit our merch store on ivmpodcasts.com. We have some exciting new merch out there for you. Also, do follow us on social media. We are IVM Podcasts on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And do remember to spread the word about these shows and any other shows you might be listening to. Appreciate them, rate them, and review them wherever you are listening to them. You can also check out all our other shows on youtube.com/IVM Podcasts. And finally, we would like to thank our sponsors this week. Volvo XC40 Recharge, Bumble, Heads Up for Tails, Kotak Privy League Program, and HDFC Mutual Fund. Thanks guys, without you this would not be possible.
Do you often find yourself surrounded by conversations about Web3, blockchain, NFTs, DAOs? What are these terms and how do they affect our future on the internet? So many questions, but don't worry, we've got answers to all your questions. Hi, I'm Eklavya Bhattacharya, and on our show Future Proofing, we try to decode the impact of these future technologies on various industries with experts and tech enthusiasts. Tune into new episodes coming out every Thursday on the IVM Podcast app and the website, or wherever you get your podcasts from.